council work session meeting of January 22nd, 2013. Before we begin, would everyone please silence their telephones and electronic devices? So I'm calling the meeting to order, and the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for January 8th of 2013, which was a county council legislative meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion about the meeting minutes?
Yeah, just one small change, Vicki. I think instead of legislative day, was that a work session on the 8th?
Yeah, we termed it a legislative day as per charter, even though it was a morning meeting.
Because the first Tuesday of the month stood on a holiday that we didn't have our meeting because of the holiday, it was pushed to the next Tuesday, which becomes the legislative session according to the charter.
Fair enough.
I had a proposed change on page 2. I've mentioned it before. Council members Brummel and Dunn requested copies of the 2012 disclosure statements after the second paragraph at the end of the sentence, the second sentence.
Which page are you on?
Page 2.
And what paragraph?
Second paragraph, second sentence. I'm proposing council members Brummel and Dunn requested copies of the 2012 disclosure statements.
Are you making a motion to amend the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion to amend the meeting minutes as per Councilman Brumel's wording?
Oh, yeah, there's some more. I also wanted to.
No. Is there any discussion on this particular amendment? All right, I'll call the vote for.
Well, no, I would like to propose another amendment.
Then we'll give you that opportunity as soon as we decide on this one.
Okay.
We are voting to amend the meeting minutes to include, and would you please repeat the language?
Council members Brummel and Dunn requested copies of the 2012 disclosure statements.
Okay. Ms. Brummel would like to add that language to the meeting minutes. All in favor of the amendment to the meeting minutes say aye.
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 All those opposed say aye. Aye. Okay, Alan, did you vote?
No, I'm not. We have about 1, 2, 3 pages of page 2. So you're talking about January 8th or January 15th?
January 8th.
We're on the 8th.
Okay, would you please repeat it one more time for my benefit?
Yeah, if there's other language, Councilman McCarthy, that you're proposing, that's fine. What I'm trying to put into the minutes is that
I understand.
okay.
What is it that you'd like to put in, please?
The second sentence after the second paragraph. Council members Brummel and Dunn requested copies of the 2012 disclosure statements.
What, may I ask what disclosure statements?
Okay. The disclosure statements of the appointments that are being proposed by County Executive Moore.
I understand what you're saying, but whose disclosure statements do you want?
That would have been Attorney Wine, Director Wine, Attorney Allison, and Mr. Winston Robbins.
Okay, I just need to know who they were. That's all I want to know.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to amend the meeting minutes to include the additional language that the council members Brummel and Dunn requested the long form ethics forms for the appointments to the council, the executive appointments. And Alan, you have a vote, yes or no?
I will vote in favor of it if it's true that this is requested.
Okay, then the motion passes 3-1. Commissioner Brumall, did you have another motion to amend?
Yeah, and this would help with, future amendments to the meeting minutes. If we put the, notation back on that we had up until April of 2012, it said, note, audio recording of this meeting is available on the county website, www.ccgov.org. And then the statement of qualification. These minutes are subject to verification of the audio proceedings of this meeting. It's just that, I want to make sure that the audio is, a part of the meeting, the official meeting minutes.
I thought we were going to ask for legal counsel to give us legal advice on that issue.
Well, after, I was waiting to hear back from Attorney Allison and heard nothing, and then I got to considering that what is the harm in including this, and that Attorney Allison is actually representing the county executive.
Okay, well, we can certainly still wait. We will be appointing a council attorney in the very near future.
Well, what is the harm in including this? Wouldn't you want a complete record of the minutes?
I guess my opinion is the meeting minutes, as we approve, are the official meeting minutes, and not to be overridden by the audio. The audio is a backup, but it is not. You're trying to imply that the official meeting minutes are the audio.
What harm would there be in including the audio, which is a more perfect version of what occurred at the meeting?
Would you please put in an amendment, a motion for?
I motion that we include for the minutes, the notation, put back the notation that was there, number 1, which says, note, audio recording of this meeting is available on the county website at www.ccgov.org. And then the second amendment I'm proposing, which I guess is the third, is statement of qualification. It would be at the bottom. These minutes are subject to verification of the audio proceedings of this meeting.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second. Vicky, have we included that in the past on the minutes? I think I've seen that language in there before.
It's on your work session meeting minutes. It may have been in the evening meeting minutes before. I went back a couple of months and didn't see that, but it is included in your work session, the first one. Audio recording is available.
I thought I'd seen that before.
Is there any other comments or discussion regarding the motion? I guess I'd like to say that I believe, especially on the second paragraph of the amendment, is that we should seek legal advice before we start putting a disclaimer or any other wording in our meeting minutes that may not pass legal muster. So I would prefer to have an attorney review the language that Mrs. Brumall has provided, and I don't have a copy of it, so I wish that in the future if you would supply it to us in advance, we'd be able to analyze it and evaluate it.
Vicky, I think, is
Okay, well,
telling you that that was included.
No, there's 2 parts to your amendment.
Yeah, it's
And the
included.
second part of the amendment
It
is
is.
not,
It is
it is what?
included in your work session.
About the audio? That the meeting minutes are subject to the audio.
Yes.
I think that was the first page.
This was included? Okay.
Yeah, first.
All right. There's been a motion and a second. And Commissioner Brumall would like to amend the meeting minutes to include the verification of the audio proceedings of the minutes subject to the audio. And to state that the meeting minutes can be found available on the county website. All those in favor of the motion to amend the meeting minutes say aye. Those opposed, say aye.
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 I'm abstaining because I wasn't in the meeting. Yeah, I
It,
wasn't.
well, okay.
Yeah, I
Then,
think this is something, if I could interject, I think this is something that you can vote on because it's the principle, that, a complete record of the minutes would be subject to, legal review. And the way that our meeting minutes have been set up since we've adopted the audio, it's very basic. Yeah, and there's a lot of information that is included in the audio, discussion, showing, reasons, or objections to certain, votes. And I think the whole record should be included in our history.
all right, the motion failed 2-2. I would encourage Commissioner Brumel to talk to, Councilmember Brumel, speak to Council Bowlesby, and this can be brought up at a later meeting if it's in fact legal and supportable. I would encourage you to bring it back up again, and we will reconsider it another time. So in event, would someone withdraw the original motion to approve the meeting minutes and offer an alternate to approve the meeting minutes with the amendment that we approved?
With the 2 amendments?
There was one.
I think Alan made the initial motion, so he needs to withdraw.
Alan, would you withdraw your?
I withdraw my motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. And the second?
That's for all second.
Alan, would you offer a new amendment to approve the meeting minutes with the amendment that we just passed?
Yes, I would move that we amend the minutes after we saw legal counsel on.
No, Al,
This is on the other one.
Which
we did pass one of the amendments.
I need to-
Didn't we pass, what was the vote on the second one?
It failed 2-2. So,
Commissioner
did
Hodge,
we-
I think that I think that the request for disclosures passed.
yes, and that's why we're
That's the
asking,
amendment.
that's why I'm asking for a new amendment to pass the minutes with that.
I realize the second, the other amendment with the, not including the audio, statement, qualification statement didn't pass, but what about the including of these minutes, the note on the, complete record, that statement being included?
Your motion included both amendments.
No,
You made one
No.
motion.
Okay. Is there a problem with me requesting to just, make a motion for that one note?
Go ahead.
Okay. On my paper again. That we would include, as we have done in the past, the statement note, audio recording of this meeting is available on the county website at www.ccgov.org.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yes, I'm having deja vu, I'll second that.
Okay, there is a motion to amend the meeting minutes by putting a note on the meeting minutes called audio recording of this meeting is available on the county website, www.ccgov.org. Is there any discussion on this amendment to the meeting minutes? Okay, therefore, I call a vote to amend the meeting minutes by placing audio recording of this meeting is available on the county website at www.ccgov.org. All those in favor of amending the meeting minutes to include this statement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The amendment passes 5-0. Okay, so we have 2 amendments to the meeting minutes. Is there a motion to pass the meeting minutes with the 2 amendments?
Motion to accept the minutes with the 2 amendments.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of passing the meeting minutes with the 2 amendments that we've just passed, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting minutes for January 8th of 2013 County Council Legislative Session has passed by unanimous vote. Okay, we also have in front of us the January 15th, 2013 County Council Work Session meeting minutes. Is there a motion to pass those minutes?
I'll make a motion to pass.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor of passing the January 15, 2013 County Council Work Session meeting, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Meeting minutes for January 15, 2013 County Council Work Session meeting is passed by unanimous consent. The second item on our agenda is a discussion regarding council appointments to boards and commissions. These are ex officio officer positions that county council members delegate themselves to sit on different boards and commissions. You have a list of these boards and commissioners before you. In the past, we reviewed the list. We determined which of these boards and commissioners that we have some expertise or some interest that we would like to make a commitment to serving on and educating the other council members on what's going on regarding these boards and commissions. Are we prepared to ask for for membership of these meetings today?
I'm prepared.
I'm sorry?
I'm prepared to present the commissions I'm interested in.
Okay. I will say the first one on the list, Bainbridge Development Corporation, is by state code supposed to be the president of the Board of Commissioners. Now, that has changed because of charter government, and there may have to be a state code revision regarding that matter. And it's not clear whether that amendment will include the president of the council or the county executive or both. Does anyone have an opinion on how to proceed with that appointment?
My thoughts on that, Councilman Hodge, were that, of course, we should request the Bainbridge Commission to seek a change because they're going to have to for their bylaws. And until that time, that you as president of the board continue to go, and if county executive Moore wants to go, I'm sure she can.
Okay. So, are we going to appoint the president of the council, which is Robert Hodge, to attend those meetings? Until
I would
other,
recommend that.
okay.
And just to be clear, are you a voting member?
I believe
You're
so.
not.
It doesn't say that.
Mr. President, those are ex officio. The president of the Board of Commissioners under the current setup, it's ex officio, non-voting.
So-
I would imagine that the bylaws of the Bainbridge Development Corporation would determine whether they were voting or not.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Right now,
legislation,
it's not.
yeah, the original legislation, they were ex officio, non-voting.
Okay.
The
Okay.
economic development director was voting.
So I would just encourage the board on any of these that you can attend, even though there's a council person who may be assigned to it, anyone is welcome to attend. And I've done that for the Economic Development Council, Parks and Rec, Firemen Association. But it is good to have council members appointed to that as well.
I agree with Councilperson Rummel wholeheartedly that our participation in all of these memberships would be beneficial for the group and for our own knowledge. The second membership is for the Cecil County Firemen's Association.
I think that's one, and I would like to continue in that position.
Okay. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
The third one is Commission on Aging.
I would step forward and take that. I'm going to resign from, but I am currently sitting on the foundation board of the Department of Aging, so it's an easy transition. I will be resigning from that foundation board because of the potential conflict of interest.
Is there any objection to Ms. Bowlesby serving on the Commission on the Economic Development Commission? This is a board that I've been serving on for many, many years, and I would like to continue to serve on. Is there any objection?
No.
I guess when we're all done, I will make an official vote on this. Mental Health Core Service Agency Advisory Board.
Yeah, I think that was a holdover from one, or that's one.
Do you want to continue to serve on that? Is that all right with everyone? Parks and Recreation Board?
That's mine as well. I'd like to continue in that.
Any objection? Planning Commission.
I would like to continue serving on that commission, but I have a feeling Ms. Bowlesby might be interested as well.
Well, I sat on the Planning Commission for 3 years. It's something that I'm definitely interested in. But I would certainly acquiesce to Councilman Grunwald if it's a burning desire at first. I can come to the meetings. I mean, it's not an issue.
I'm not a voting member, but I am able to provide some added discussion. So, thank you.
You want to be on it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I will come to the meetings.
Okay. Councilman Brumel is going to serve on the Planning Commission. And again, I would encourage just everyone to participate from time to time in those meetings. Infants and Toddlers Program, Local Interagency Coordinator Council. I don't know who served on this in the past. Terry.
Terry.
Okay, Terry must have. Is there any volunteers to serve on that committee?
Vicki, could you give us a background of this program?
Local Infants and Toddlers Program to identify and support children with developmental delays. Children will be assessed and ongoing services provided for the child and family if eligible.
I'll step up to that because I sit on the Board of Chimes Delaware and have sat on Family Services Board. Previously, I resigned from that. So I'm familiar with developmental disabilities.
Anyone else? Okay. Joyce Bowlesby will serve on the Infants and Toddler Program. Watershed Implementation Plan Advisory Committee. I've currently been serving on that committee, and I would continue unless somebody else wants to serve on that committee. Anyone else? Okay, Robert Hodge will serve on the Watershed Implementation Plan Advisory Committee. Department of Social Services Board. I currently serve on that and would like to continue unless someone else wants to speak up. Okay, Robert Hodge will continue to serve on the Department of Social Services Board. Drug and Alcohol Council. This is a voting member.
That would be me.
Have you served on that previously?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else?
This is the drug awareness forums I've coordinated with this group.
Okay, Council Member Diana Brummel will serve on the Drug and Alcohol Council. Human Services Agency.
I don't know who sat on that board, but I would be happy to sit on that board.
Terry Moore did previously.
I will be happy to. We're not giving Councilman McCarthy any opportunity, though. If you would like to.
Jump in anytime you want.
Looks like you'll have all the bases covered.
Oh, no.
Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway voting member.
Okay, I was on that and we haven't had a meeting.
And
I'll stay on this one though.
Okay.
It's in my district.
It is in your meeting, it's not your committee, but you should encourage the committee to meet if they aren't meeting. Okay, Council Member Brummel will serve on the Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway. Maryland Association of Counties voting members shared with the county executive. So the county executive will have half a vote. County council member that we select will have a half a vote. And this does require, especially during the legislative session, significant travel to Annapolis to sit on the legislative committee of the Maryland Association of Counties. So anyone that's going to step up needs to be in Annapolis, at least weekly.
I would be willing to cover this. My experience as a legislative aide, I think would allow me to speak up and be aware of changes to bills and committees, and to bring updates back to the board, and to be in communication with our directors to see how these bills would potentially affect us. I think it's a great opportunity to try and interject our concerns before the bills are passed.
Is there anyone else that would like to serve on this committee?
I would have an interest.
Ms. Schwartzler supports that.
There is an alternate also. Alan, would you consider being the alternate, or do you want to be the first chair?
If I was to do anything, I'd be the first chair. If not, then withdraw my name.
And you understand the commitment to travel to Annapolis?
Yes, could you give us more, is it more than once a week? Sometimes
It can
it can be more than once a week.
depends on the qualities, but it is every Wednesday.
And you would be required to come back. I would hope that you would give us updates on those bills that are affecting our county. I'll just be honest, I was very disappointed to find out that it was Commissioner Moore at the time that didn't provide an update to us saying that she was supporting SB 236 with amendments, and didn't check with the Director of Planning and the Director of DPW on the effects of this bill. We happened to be one of the counties that had two different conservation districts. We were the exception to the rule. You have to be up to date, right? When the bills are taking place, all the changes that are being proposed in committee, very strategic. It's a great opportunity, but you're gonna have to be down there providing the updates, and I'm gonna be asking for them to.
Okay, well, why don't you just take that position?
Okay, it is the board's consent that Councilmember Bruno will be the first, and that Councilman Alan McCarthy would be the alternate. And is there any objection?
No.
Rural Counties Coalition Board of Directors. I believe that Jim Mullins served on this.
No, I was appointed to
Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you're right. You're right, and you do have a term. Now, it's my understanding that this should be really, okay. This comes from the Upper Shore Regional Council.
No, this is the, remember us activating the Maryland Rural County Coalition along with the TMDL Coalition.
Yes, okay.
And I think this goes hand in hand with MACO.
Okay. All right. Then Doug Broom will serve on the Maryland Rural Counties Coalition Board of Directors until 12/2014. Maryland Rural Development Council. This is one that Jim Mullins served. Alan, would you be willing to serve on this?
Wilmington Area Planning Council?
No, Maryland Rural Development Council. Maryland Rural Development Council.
What is the commitment in time?
I don't know.
Vicki, do you have any information?
MRDC meets bi-monthly, The meetings are usually held in Northeast or Greensboro, Delaware. Responds to the human service and community development needs of eligible individuals, families, and communities in Maryland to improve the general human condition. They run the Children's Head Start program.
And if you didn't have a background on this, and you're a voting member, where could you get the information to discuss the votes, or who do you think would be a good resource?
Oh, for the MRDC?
Yeah.
Would be, the executive director, Kevin, I can't think of his last name. Brooks, thank you. Kevin Brooks.
Councilman McCarthy?
No, I'll pass on this one also.
Ms. Bolt? Got a lot on my plate right now.
Right, we'll pass on that one for now. I'd like someone to consider. Upper Shore Regional Council, now it's my understanding we need three members of Upper Shore Regional Council. Each county that's in the Upper Shore Regional Council, Cecil, Kent, and Queen Anne's has 3 members each that serve on the board of directors. So we need 3 council members from Cecil County to step up.
Well, I currently serve as the second vice president and have been very active in this. A lot of good things are happening under Director Mason's leadership. I would be proud to serve on this.
Anyone else?
Sure, I'll take one of those. The meetings are in Chestertown, is it?
I think the meetings, they move them around.
Okay.
They move the meetings around, but their executive office is in Chestertown, and they do meet there occasionally, but they've had meetings in Cecil County also.
I've conducted meetings over the phone many times when I wasn't able to make it down to Chestertown or Queen Anne's.
Mr. McCarthy, can I encourage you to consider attending some of these meetings and checking it out?
At your request, I'll accept it.
Okay, council members Brumell, Dunn, and McCarthy will serve on the Upper Shore Regional Council. Wilmington Area Planning Council.
I think this was Jim's. I was going to take it, but if Alan had an interest in it, I'll defer to him. I think he brought it up. Do you want that?
Mr. President, I believe that's a county executive position. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's my understanding.
Is that, Alan, or,
That's the voting.
Al, I believe you, but where is that stated that it is a county executive position?
It's in the little MAPCO bylaws.
Okay. Could you,
It's a Newcastle County executive, and all the mayor.
excuse me, please be quiet. Thank you, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe, the other little members of the municipalities of Newcastle County and Cecil County, the mayors and the county executive of Newcastle County.
Could you send us the
Sure.
language in the bylaws? Thank you.
We can get those bylaws to you.
There's another commission that's missing off this list. It's called the Upper Shore Agent Housing Corporation. It manages several senior housing centers from Cecil County all the way down to the shore. I have served on this since becoming commissioner. If someone else would like to serve, Alan, if you have an interest, it does have basically you manage the management of these facilities and make decisions based on federal guidelines and market conditions.
Well, in view of the fact that I'm rental properties, would you view this as a conflict of interest?
No, this is nothing. You provide some executive experience to this board. It would not be a conflict of interest.
If I can be assured of such, then I will accept it.
Okay, I'd like you to serve on this board. It only meets every quarter or less, so it's not very time consuming if you change your mind, let me know, and I'll be happy to serve.
What was it called again? I missed that.
Upper Shore Aged Housing.
And what is it that they review?
Sorry?
What is it that they look over?
They own and manage senior housing facilities up and down the Eastern Shore. Perry Villa in Perryville is one of their facilities. They're not large complexes, they're smaller complexes. They have one in Cecilton, and they have one in various locations. I think they have about 12 different senior housing projects on the Eastern Shore.
Okay, so, what is it that, is it the board overseeing all of these projects?
No, yeah, they have an executive board. They have an executive director. The executive director manages these facilities. Occasionally, they have meetings to ask for permission to spend money and to oversee the budget, approve the budget for the year, to hire the auditor that oversees the financials, and to provide advice if the executive director asks for it. Okay, so Alan, give it a shot, check it out. It is not time sensitive as far as the amount of time that you need to serve. Is there any other boards or commissions that we have missed?
Yeah, I thought there was another list, which was substantially bigger, but. That's Harvard. No, okay.
Do we want to make the official appointments at our legislative meeting on February 5th?
I think we can take a vote right now on the list, as is. The only one that's open was the Maryland Rural Development Council. But the list as presented, I think this is, we've got a lot accomplished.
What's the pleasure of the other members?
That's fine.
Decide now or later?
I'm fine with deciding now. I guess, do we feel there needs to be public comment on this, or? I don't really think
There
so.
hasn't been in the past.
Okay, fair.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the board memberships that we volunteered for this morning?
Motion to approve ex officio list,
No, appointment list.
ex officio appointment list. Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just want to know, will a letter be sent to each of these boards and commissions designating who,
Yep.
and introducing us as their new representative? Okay.
Yes, and that letter should include the contact information for that new board member so that invitations can be sent to the next meeting. All right, we have a first and a second to approve the appointments to the board and commission ex officio officers. All in favor signal by saying aye. Any opposed, say aye. The motion carries 5-0. The next item on our agenda it's not on our agenda, but Vicki has brought to my attention that there are other organizations that from time to time come before the council or the commissioners in the past to bring us up to date on their efforts. And do we want to continue to meet with the Cecil County Airport, the Cecil County Ag Preservation Committee, Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services, Cecil College, Cecil Public Schools, and I think there's also the Ag Advisory Council. Cecil County Ag Advisory, which is different. Do we want to continue to meet with them on a time-to-time basis, or do we want to meet them on an as-needed basis, and do we want to schedule meetings in advance? What's the pleasure of the board?
I would recommend that we schedule them on a regular basis, even if they don't feel they have new information to bring to us. I think the dialogue is very productive, and it, the discussions a lot of time bring up issues that we weren't anticipating, and just helps us keep familiar with their needs and what we can do to help.
Is there any other ideas from any other council members?
That's fine, we can keep the existing schedule, that's fine, was it quarterly?
Okay,
now?
the existing schedule is biannually for the airport.
Okay.
For the Agricultural Preservation Committee, it's quarterly. For the Upper Bay Counseling and Support Services, it's biannually. For Cecil College, it's quarterly. For Cecil County Public Schools, it's quarterly.
Okay, that's fine.
These, oh, I'm sorry.
The Firemen's Association, I would recommend that we do that biannually.
Okay, are you talking about the Fire Chiefs Association or the Advisory Committee? Which I don't think it's ever reported to us.
The Firemen's Association?
Yes.
The Fire Chiefs Association. Or the Firemen's, there's several.
Well, the one that meets on, what is it, the second or third Monday?
That's the Fire Chiefs.
I thought that was the
Yeah.
Firemen's Association, so, well, let's see if they're interested first before we,
Well, I would say, keep it open for anyone from the fire chief, the EMS advisory, or the Firemen's Association, that they could come to this meeting with their concerns. And, I have a concern that was brought to me about, LoSAP and about the proposed, ambulance program that, Director Brooks had presented. Constituents wanting to know what the status of that is, or people in the fire department, and, there isn't an opportunity really to, well, at the Citizens Forum, we don't have the county executive, we do have Director Wine that will be answering those questions from the public, but it would be, good to have another opportunity, to be able to communicate their concerns to the county executive. And the county executive is always welcome to sit in on these meetings too.
If I might, I think that under charter, each of these organizations will be going to the county executive because she's preparing the budget. And if their line items aren't in the budget, then we would not, they would not be considered for funding. So their pitch is going to be, as before it was with the county commissioners, now it will be with the county executive. They will be coming to us purely for informational purposes.
Right, it's very rarely that they come to in the past, they didn't come to the commissioners to talk about money.
Okay.
It usually come about special initiatives other than money. And sometimes money was involved on new projects, but status of what the schools were doing and how they were progressing. And so it was really a progress report on
That's
how
great.
things
I
are
think
going.
that's important for us to know that, but I just wanted to.
Right, this initiative of meeting with these entities has nothing to do with the budget itself.
Okay.
There is, during the budget process, in our schedule, that we do have their presentations before us. But to Councilmember Brumall's point, I think that we can offer the opportunity for any entity in Cecil County that has an issue that would like to bring it forward to the council members to ask for a date on our calendar to meet with us about any issue that they'd like to discuss. And so the prerogative is on their end to ask to do that, and I think that we will have plenty of time to listen to what they have to say. Is there any other discussion on meeting with entities that have issues in the county.
So we're okay with the existing schedule?
Yes, that's correct, that's the consensus that we were just okay with that. And we can modify that, if they don't have anything new to report, then hopefully, they'll just say so, and we won't waste their time. Okay, number 3 item on our agenda is council rules and procedures. We've all had, copies of it distributed to us, repeatedly. I hope that we've read it. There's 2 things that, I'd like to say. I'd like to put together a timeline or schedule to approve this, unless you all are ready to move it forward sooner than later. And I guess I'll ask if there's a lot of questions and comments. If they're significant, then we should schedule a work session specific to this agenda item. If there's only a few minor amendments, then maybe we should just do it now. What's the consensus of the board or the council?
I would like to put this on a evening meeting and get feedback from the public. They might have some things that they discovered in the policy or the proposed rules of procedure that we may want to consider. I had a question about the changes in blue. Just wondering, where did those changes come from?
Those were changes that I have put forth after reading it, to term the days, legislative days. But they're certainly open to your, to how you want them to do.
Well,
I have received comments from several individuals that I think are legitimate, that we should, before we put this out for public hearing for adoption, if we're going to do that, for public comment, I would like for us to fix it and make it acceptable to us, and make it that we're okay with it, and then have the public, because some of the same issues may arise, so let's put forward the best product that we can put together before we put it out for public comment.
okay,
And I have no objection to putting it out for public comment.
there was a question I had about the process of the agenda or any bills.
Okay, let's back up a minute. Are we going to discuss it in detail today?
I move that we do not.
So, are you suggesting a work session?
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm suggesting that we come prepared with all the comments received from the public and ourselves, to sit down in a work session and go through it paragraph by paragraph by paragraph, and come up with the best one that we can find. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, that's fine.
And Vicki, could you schedule an afternoon meeting, preferably the earliest Tuesday that you can, so that we can review this? And go ahead.
I would like to request also, Vicki, if you could provide, I don't know what it's called over in Harford County, proposed rules of procedure. I was looking for it, couldn't find it. Just to have something to compare it to. Yeah, or Harford County and, why would you recommend like Harford
It's just
County?
that that's what you usually use as a reference. I was thinking that's what you were thinking of.
Well, I was thinking also, is Calvert commissioner form or charter? It is commissioner. I guess we can't have as well.
Okay, the proposed rules is on the website. I encourage the public to look at it, study it, and make recommendations to the council members. So that when we meet with at our work session, we can incorporate your comments, or at least discuss them. We cannot change the charter. If the charter says that we have to follow a certain process and procedure, that is the overriding law of a county. But we can fill in the details between what the charter has to say. So I encourage the public to speak up and provide us our comments. your comments to us. Director Flanagan, are you prepared to start, or do you need more time?
No, I think we're ready. We're missing one expert, but he can join us in progress.
Okay. We have some other council business. Would you like to start now? Or?
Mr. President, can I make we have a couple brief announcements prior to, Mr. Flanagan and his staff providing an overview to the Sac Point project, if you indulge. The county executive and her staff, similar to the public hearings that the commissioners had, will be holding a public meeting for citizen input on the FY 2014 operating and capital budgets, and that's scheduled for January 30th at 7 p.m., and that's been advertised. Also, we would like to come before the council next Tuesday to provide the same presentation to the council next Tuesday morning. And Mr. Whiteford has an announcement.
Is that all right if we put that on the agenda for next Tuesday's work session to hear what the executive has regarding the budget, the preliminary budget at this time? Okay, Vicki, would you add allow enough time for the executive to make their presentation?
Can I ask, Al, is this in response to our request for a little bit more information for the final budget?
Yes, that's.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was the purpose. I think we originally, you had given,
Vicki had given us a couple other dates, but this, we thought we provided the same information that we'll be providing next Wednesday at your Tuesday meeting.
Just one other informational item. County Executive Moore and the Public Safety Pension Plan is currently looking for a trustee to serve on the Public Safety Pension Plan Board. The interested party should have some financial management experience. This is due to a vacancy of our citizen representative. It's for a 3-year term. Overall, the trustees are responsible for administering the plan and overseeing and managing the investments of the fund. Residents are encouraged to apply for consideration for appointment if they have a particular background, skill, or affinity for it. Applications will be kept on file in the county executive's office. Should anyone desire or express an interest to this, just contact the county executive's office at 996-5202, and we can provide you with an application to fill that important representative of the board of trustees for the pension plan.
Thank you. Are you ready, or would you like us to take some more time?
I'm prepared if you want to move on to this one. Jeff Cole, Chief of Wastewater Division, will be joining us. He's not here yet. If you have other business, that would be great, but if you, otherwise I'm ready to go.
We'll move on with council items, and we'll come back to item number 4 on our agenda when Mr. Cole comes in. So, Councilmember Bowlesby, do you have any issues that you would like to discuss with the council?
I have no issues. I just want to thank everybody for coming this morning, and I also want to say go Ravens.
Yeah. Thank you. Councilmember McCarthy, do you have anything that you would like to bring up?
I appreciate your attendance.
Councilperson Brumo?
Yes. I wanted to share a letter I received, an email from John McDaniel. And he is, well, I'll just read it. I just finished the article in The Guardian about the county council hiring a law firm to defend Ms. Moore's action to change party affiliation. Upon reading the article, I then listened to the audio of the Monday evening session. What concerns me as a taxpayer is why is the council retaining a law firm to defend Ms. Moore for an action she herself chose to take. During the audio, I hear several citizens voicing the same concern prior to the council taking a vote. After taking the vote, I heard no explanation from the council as to why they felt it necessary to hire a law firm for a decision she personally made. I feel the same as those citizens who spoke that Ms. Moore should use her own funds to defend herself and not use the taxpayer dollars. On a personal note, I was somewhat offended by Mr. McCarthy's comment that citizens who have a concern should attend the workshops and evening sessions. I am a life member of one of the 9 volunteer fire companies in the county. Many times I think our county officials forget they are the ones that are responsible for providing fire and ambulance service to the citizens. Myself, I contribute between 400 to 500 administrative hours a year. I feel this time benefits the county far better than sitting in a meeting where you cannot speak, laughing and clapping for your council. There are many ways to keep in touch with what our council members are working on without going to these sessions to be a cheerleader for your own special interests. Just because someone isn't visible doesn't mean they aren't concerned. I would like to commend whoever came up with the idea of recording the audio of the meeting. So I just thought he brought up many important points in his email. And I know that Councilman Hodge and McCarthy did call him and stated that the reason why we had to vote for supporting the special counsel was because not only was it the county executive that had suit filed against her, but the council as well. And I strongly disagree with that justification. And I do agree with Mr. McDaniels that this is something that Ms. Moore did personally, and the taxpayers should not be funding this the special legal counsel. On another note, I have had contact with those concerned with the LoSAP program. Maybe it's just a rumor, but I want to make sure that there is no discussion to dissolve this program and use the monies that the county puts into this to purchase or to build up our own ambulance fleet with the proposal that Mr. Brooks had brought to us last year. If we could have confirmation from the county executive's office on this, or from Director Brooks, that would be good. I'm not getting the responsiveness I was hoping from the county executive's government on a number of directors I have called and haven't received calls back. So, I guess that's it for now. That's all I have.
Councilman Dunn?
Sure, actually, I'm glad Director Flanagan is with us. I don't know if you've seen my email, this, Scott. I had a constituent issue, was contacted about a large sinkhole out at Glen Farms on the corner of North and East Parkways. Just wanted to bring that to the attention of the roads department. I don't know if there's anything we can do to address that or not, but I'm not even sure if it's county, so.
That will, I have not yet been in my email. I was busy preparing for our other discussion this morning. As soon as I get back, I'll find that and send it out to the roads folks. Their very first order of business will be to see, is it a county issue or not? And if it's not, we'll try to bring it to the attention of whose issue it is. If it is our issue, then they'll move to address it as rapidly as we can.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
Thank you. I've had some discussion with Stephanie Garrity, the director of the Cecil County Health Department, about continuing the Cecil County Board of Health meetings. It is a requirement to continue to have Cecil County Board of Health meetings at least twice per year. In the past, in the Commissioner form of government, we met monthly. She is willing to continue to do the monthly meetings if we agree and would like to continue that tradition. If we would like to increase it or reduce it, that's up to us. In my mind, it gives her an opportunity to get out public information on health issues that are facing us that month, and to bring awareness to things that the health department is doing, and giving her a public forum to speak out and pass on to the public and the press the items that they are working on. So what is the consensus of the board regarding Cecil County Public Health meetings, Board of Health meetings?
Yeah, I would support, the schedule that we've, kept in the past. And of course, if there's anything that, has come up that is, important in the community, that the public needs to know that, she's welcome to come sooner.
Any other comments?
I'm fine with continuing.
Any other comments? Okay. Vicki, would you continue to put the Cecil County Board of Health on the agenda on a monthly basis unless there's some emergency that you'd like to meet with us more often? Second issue that I have, I just came to my attention that there is an application to utilize sludge on a farm in Cecil County. Notice came to me on Friday, and I passed a copy of it to you today. And it does request, if the county chooses to have an informational meeting, that we need to act within 10 days of the letter, date of the letter. And I'm encouraging the council to ask the Maryland Department of Environment to provide this public information meeting that is required by the Annotated Code of Maryland.
Do you have the address of where this sludge is being proposed to be spread?
Yes, I do have 2 books here. There's actually 2 farms owned by this, I believe, similar property owner. It's in the, Locust Point area. Locust Point. Okay.
So the address should be in the application book.
Yeah,
but you have
there's
those-
2 applications here for 2 different permits.
It's probably the property in Locust Point Road, I would imagine, based on the name.
I think they said Blair Shore Road. Anyway, the informational meeting is where they'll come up here and talk to the public who's ever interested in informing them what's in the permit application and what the plans are and what's included.
Could I ask a question to Director Sundstrom, President Hodge?
Yes.
In the past, there's been a great deal of concern with sludge being spread, especially its human waste, correct?
Yes, this material is the residue that's left over after the sewage treatment plants have finished treating the effluent. If you look in the booklets that have come along with the cover letter, generally it's a wide-ranging area that the material comes from, as far north as Philadelphia and its environs, as far south as Washington, D.C. and its environs. The material can come from any of those places and be spread on the properties in Cecil County and other rural jurisdictions as well.
Mm-hmm. And do you think we'll be getting credit for this for our WIC plan?
That I can't say. I don't.
Don't you think this would not be a good thing for our WIC plan?
Well, you're putting more nutrients onto the soil, which has have the potential to ultimately enter the Chesapeake Bay through the natural cycle. So that's something that, on the one hand, would seem to work as a detriment to trying to achieve the goals that the state is trying to achieve by reducing the amount of nutrients running into the bay. However, I'm sure that the Department of the Environment will tell you that they regulate this to the effect that it's not going to have any effect. So, I would have to defer to greater minds than mine to answer that question.
Yeah, the hypocrisy comes through. Thank you. Well, the neighbors of this property, what would you say has typically been the concerns expressed?
Well, most of in the past, and we haven't had any neighbors recently, but in the past, most of their concerns have been issues with the transport of the material and potential spills along the route, potential issues with pets and walking onto the property and coming back onto their properties, wildlife tracking the from the subject property onto adjoining properties, the health issues that are associated with that, with children and their own animals potentially coming into contact with the materials.
And has there ever been any infiltration into people's public wells?
Not that I'm aware of.
But it's been concerns that have been raised in the past. Contamination of wells.
There's, the last time we had a public hearing was probably back in 06, 07, I'm gonna say. It was at Cecilton Elementary School. And it was a couple of properties in the first district that were the subject of the material being placed on them, and individuals from the immediate vicinity, as well as those along the route that were projected for the transport of the material to the subject sites, appeared and voiced all of those concerns, and we're very concerned that primarily with the health issues associated with the material being placed on adjacent property.
I don't want to get into the merits of whether this is a good thing or a bad thing today. What I do want to ask is whether the council is going to go along with asking for an informational meeting. And then we can attend that meeting, or we can receive comments, and we can make a decision later on whether we want to take a position on the matter. But today, we need to make a decision on whether we want to request an informational meeting.
I would move that we do request an informational meeting.
Is there anyone else that'd like to support that?
I would second it.
Okay, all right, well, is there any discussion? Okay. There's been a motion and a second to request an informational meeting from the Maryland Department of Environment to have an informational meeting to raise issues with the, or at least receive information from them on this sludge utilization permit. All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. President, if I may, I just prepared some background information on this subject for the council concerning the preemption issue, as well as correspondence between the county and the state concerning section 155 of the county zoning ordinance. And I'll make that available for the board to peruse at your leisure at another time, but just it'll give you some background information as to where the county stands vis-a-vis these applications to spread sludge on agricultural lands.
Okay. I have two more issues that I'd like to discuss quickly. Number one, I think we've all received, council has all received certain applications for volunteers to serve on the Animal Control Oversight Committee. I would encourage you to send your rankings or preferred candidate to the county executive before she makes an appointment. We've been, January 25th is our deadline for submission, or I thought it was the 23rd.
25th.
25th, okay. We have until the 25th to rank those applications according to our preference in our district to the executive. The executive may or may not agree with our ranking, but I think she will give us preferential treatment as far as who we would prefer to serve on that oversight committee. So I would encourage you to take action before the 25th, or the executive will make a decision on her own without your input. And lastly, I just wanted to remind you that Michael Swift, who is a certified professional parliamentarian, will be meeting us this afternoon at 1 o'clock. He's an expert on parliamentary procedure. I expect that he will be talking to us about the basics of Robert's Rules of Order and how to have efficient meetings. And I would encourage all the council members to participate. I've also encouraged a few members of other municipalities to be here, and I would offer it up to the public if you would like to have a crash course on parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules to come and meet. We will be meeting in this room, and you're welcome to come back at 1 o'clock to learn more about parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Order. That's all I have. So Mr. Flanagan, do you want to go ahead and make your presentation on the Seneca Point wastewater treatment update?
Certainly. I have with me, I guess I'm going to ask these gentlemen, rather than speak from the back, to move towards the front if I need to call upon them for assistance. Dave Hollenbaugh, Deputy Director of Public Works. Phil Music, Chief Engineering and Construction Division. Jonathan Pullman is one of the project managers within Engineering and Construction Division and the project manager for the project to upgrade Northeast River Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant. And Jeff Cole, Chief of Wastewater Division, is en route. I just got a text from him saying he should be here momentarily. What I have passed out to you and to the gentleman to the right is a milestone schedule for this project. You can see there, this is a condensed version of a project schedule that takes up a complete plan size sheet. I don't know how many activities there are, but there's a bunch. But I have tried to boil them down to key milestones to help you understand what is the timeline for this project. And so we've got 9 activities listed there, or 9 milestones, and then there are 3 columns to the right, one called current discharge permit, the next one called proposed consent order, and then the third one, current project schedule. I think I want to make sure, I think you know this, but I just want to make sure everybody understands that in order to discharge treated wastewater effluent into the environment, you need a permit to do that from the Maryland Department of the Environment. And the Maryland Department of the Environment is using those discharge permits, that's the regulatory vehicle that they are using to move major wastewater treatment plants to an ENR, or enhanced nutrient removal level of treatment. And a major wastewater treatment plant being defined as one that has a permitted capacity of 500,000 gallons per day or more. So of the county's wastewater treatment plants, only one of them currently exceeds that threshold and is classified as a major wastewater treatment plant. That is, the official name is the Northeast River Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant, but everybody calls it Seneca Point Wastewater Treatment Plant. So the current discharge permit for the Seneca Point Wastewater Treatment Plant has written into it the requirement to upgrade that plant to an ENR level of treatment. And in that discharge permit, it has 2 specified and 1 implied date. And those are the dates that are listed in the column headed current discharge permit. So the current discharge permit says that we were supposed to have started construction on the project to upgrade the plant to ENR on March 1st of last year. And that we are supposed to be complete, or substantial completion of that project to upgrade the plant to ENR by March 31st of 2014. And then the implied deadline in that discharge permit is, it says that the county would then have a year from completion of substantial completion in order to commission the new facility and place it into operation and work out the bugs and be prepared to meet all ENR treatment standards. So that's the third date written in there, April 1st of 2015. So those are the dates that are written into the permit at the present time. Now, we're obviously not under construction, and so we missed the first milestone, and we're not under construction, so there's no way we're going to meet the second milestone, which was that completion of construction deadline of March 31st of 2014, which is just a little over a year away. And the reason for that is because the Maryland Department of the Environment required that we conduct a pilot study to see could the plant achieve ENR levels of treatment at full capacity in its current configuration. And so the wastewater division of the Department of Public Works had to conduct that pilot test, and in order for that to be a truly valid pilot test, it needed to go through a winter. The net effect was that that requirement to do that pilot test, it had a major impact on the schedule, and delayed the project approximately 18 months, which is why we're not going to meet those dates. Now, the Maryland Department of the Environment, understands and accepts that we're not going to meet those dates written into the discharge permit because of the requirement to conduct